My boyfriend said, "She's not your daughter." He was talking about my orphaned 7-year-old niece. Days later, he tried to sabotage my custody case. My name is Amelia Hart. I'm 31 years old, and 3 weeks ago, my life split into before and after. Before, I had a job, a boyfriend, a small apartment crowded with plants, and a future I talked about casually because I thought I still had time to choose it. After, I had a 7-year-old girl standing barefoot in a hallway at midnight, clutching a stuffed rabbit, asking me why her mother and father had not come home. My older sister Claire and her husband Adam died on a Tuesday evening. A man ran a red light doing almost 60 in a 35. They were coming home from picking up a unicorn cake for Lily's school bake sale. Lily was at home with a babysitter, waiting for cake. She got me instead. I was at my boyfriend Mason's apartment when the call came. We had been together 2 years. I remember the kettle screaming in his kitchen. I remember my phone slipping out of my hand. I remember Mason saying my name like I was underwater. I don't remember the drive. I only remember walking into Claire's house after midnight and seeing Lily run toward me in pink pajamas. "Aunt Amelia," she said, "where's Mommy?" No one teaches you how to answer that. Grief, at first, is not crying. It is police reports, hospital paperwork, funeral calls, insurance files, and a child asking the same question in different ways because her heart keeps rejecting the answer. Claire had a will. She and Adam had made it after Lily was born. I was named Lily's legal guardian. There was no family fight, no distant relative appearing out of nowhere. Everyone knew Claire and I were close. We fought over stupid things, borrowed clothes, knew each other's passwords, and could tell from one text if the other was lying. She picked me. That truth felt heavier than grief. Within a week, I moved out of my apartment and into Claire's house. I took leave from work. I learned Lily's school schedule, her cereal preference, her nightlight routine, and how badly one woman can burn macaroni and cheese while trying not to cry into the pot. I watched hair braiding tutorials at 2 in the morning because Claire used to braid Lily's hair before school. The first braid I made looked like a rope that had lost confidence. Lily touched it in the mirror and said very gently, "It's okay. Mommy practiced too." That almost broke me. Mason was supportive for about 5 days. He texted, "Thinking of you." He brought takeout once. He hugged me in the kitchen while checking his phone over my shoulder. I told myself he was uncomfortable around grief, not selfish. I told myself love sometimes needed instructions. Then he came over on Saturday night. Lily had been quiet all day, the kind of quiet children use when they're trying not to become another problem. When Mason arrived with Thai food, she hovered near the kitchen doorway holding her stuffed rabbit by one ear. "Can I eat with you?" she asked. Before I answered, Mason smiled tightly. "Maybe you could eat in your room tonight, sweetheart. Your aunt and I haven't had adult time in a while." Lily's face changed so quickly I hated myself for not speaking faster. "She's eating with us," I said. Mason's smile stayed, but his eyes cooled. "Of course, I just thought routine might help." Routine. As if sending an orphaned child to eat alone in her bedroom was structure instead of cruelty dressed in soft language. I let it pass because I was exhausted. I was sleeping on Lily's bedroom floor because she woke up screaming for her mother. I was answering sympathy texts I didn't have the strength to read. I was signing papers with hands that still shook. Then the comments started. "My coworker's cousin took in her nephew," Mason said one evening, standing in Claire's kitchen like he had any right to judge the house. She said it ruined her 20s. "I'm 31, I said. "You know what I mean." "No," I thought, "but I'm starting to." Another time, he asked if my parents could take Lily instead. "They're older," I said, "and Claire chose me." People make choices before real life happens. That sentence stayed with me because it told me exactly how he saw love. To Mason, commitment only counted when life stayed convenient. 2 weeks after the funeral, Lily's school counselor called. Another child had mentioned Mother's Day, and Lily had fallen apart in class. I left work mid-shift, drove to the school, and found her sitting in the counselor's office with red eyes and both hands tucked under her legs. On the ride home, she asked, "If I forget Mommy's voice, does that mean I didn't love her enough?" I had to pull over. I told her love was not a test. I told her voices fade sometimes, but feelings stay. I told her we would save every video we could find. Then I brought her home, made a blanket fort in the living room, put on Moana, and sat with her until she cried herself to sleep against my lap. That was how Mason found us. The room was dim. The movie was still playing. Lily's cheek was pressed against my leg, one hand curled into my sweater like she was afraid the world would take me too. Mason stood in the doorway and looked at us with irritation. "You spend too much time with her," he said. I stared at him. "She's not your daughter, Amelia. You're 31. You're acting like a single mom, and that was not the plan. The plan. He said it like my sister's death had interrupted a vacation. I looked down at Lily, asleep under a blanket covered in cartoon stars. Then I looked back at the man I thought I loved. Very quietly, because I didn't want to wake her, I said, "You're right. She isn't my daughter." His face softened for half a second, like he thought he had won. Then I finished. "She's my responsibility, and right now, you are not." Mason gave a short laugh. "Seriously?" "Yes. You're choosing this over us?" "This?" I repeated. "You mean a 7-year-old who lost both her parents?" "You know that's not what I meant." "No," I said. "I think it is." He crossed his arms. "You've changed." Of course I had changed. No one buries her sister, becomes a parent overnight, and remains the same woman she was 3 weeks earlier. Grief had changed everything about me, even the way I carried myself without realizing it. I slept differently, breathed differently, and moved through the world like someone bracing for impact. "I should hope so," I said. His jaw tightened. "I had a vision for us." As did I. And I looked at Lily. And then real life happened. He stared at me like I had slapped him. Then he grabbed his keys. "When you come to your senses, call me." He left. The front door clicked shut, and I sat there in the blanket fort with a sleeping child on my lap, feeling something end more completely than a breakup. That night, after I carried Lily to bed, I sat alone at Claire's kitchen table and opened my laptop. The guardianship process had already started. Claire naming me in her will mattered, but the court still had to formalize everything. Home studies, background checks, reference calls, documentation. The system wanted proof that love could be organized into paperwork. So I made sure every form was clean. I went through every important document I could think of: emergency contacts, medical forms, school pickup authorization, even my own records, and removed Mason's name from all of them. It took 23 minutes. 2 years together, erased from the important systems of my life in less than half an hour. That bothered me more than I expected. Maybe love had already been thinning long before I noticed. The next morning, Lily came downstairs wearing mismatched socks and dragging her stuffed rabbit. "Where's Mason?" "He won't be coming by anymore." She looked at me for a second. "Okay." Then she climbed onto a stool and asked if waffles counted as breakfast food or weekend food, pretending to be breakfast. That was it. A grieving child handled separation with more maturity than a grown man. The following week blurred into survival. School drop-offs, lawyer calls, work check-ins, grief counseling, laundry that never ended, meals that somehow required planning every single day. Every night after Lily went to sleep, I sat in Claire's kitchen feeling like I was impersonating adulthood. I kept expecting someone more qualified to walk in. An actual parent. A real grown-up. Instead, it was just me. Then social services called. The caseworker's voice was professional but careful. "We'd like to schedule an additional meeting." My stomach dropped. "Why?" "Some concerns came up during a reference interview." I went cold. The next day, I sat in a government office across from a caseworker with kind eyes and an open file. "We spoke to one of your references," she said. Then she said Mason's name. He had told her I had become isolated, obsessive, emotionally unstable, unable to maintain healthy adult relationships, and too consumed by childcare responsibilities. I just stared at her. It is a surreal thing to defend yourself against someone who once kissed your forehead and told you he loved you. "Is this retaliation?" she asked. That question probably saved me. I pulled out my phone. Screenshots. Texts. The messages about alone time. The comment about Lily eating separately. The one where he said this wasn't the plan. The caseworker read them quietly. Then she leaned back and said, "I see what's happening here." I almost cried from relief. Not because everything was fixed. Because someone believed me. "This will not be an issue," she said. But it could have been. It could have delayed custody. It could have complicated the one stable thing Lily still had. All because Mason was angry I protected a child over his comfort. That night, I sat on the back porch after Lily fell asleep and understood something I didn't want to understand. Tragedy does not only reveal your own strength. It reveals other people's character too. And some people do not survive being seen clearly. 3 days later, Mason showed up at the house, unannounced. At dinner, holding a gift bag. It was Tuesday evening, and Lily and I had somehow turned taco night into a ritual. She stood on a chair beside the counter, assigning herself the very serious responsibility of cheese distribution, which meant every bowl looked like it had survived a dairy avalanche. The doorbell rang. I wiped my hands and opened the door. Mason stood there in a pressed shirt, styled hair, and the expensive cologne he wore when he wanted to seem composed. The gift bag had boutique tissue paper sticking out of the top. For half a second, I hoped he had come to apologize. Then I looked closer. This was not remorse. This was staging. I brought something for Lily, he said. He skipped every sentence a decent person should have started with. Now's not a good time, I said. Can I come in? No. From the kitchen, Lily called, Is that the pizza guy? No, sweetheart, I said. Go check the cheese. Mason flinched when I didn't name him. He flinched when I didn't even use his name. Funny how fast people discover dignity when it's their own. I just want 5 minutes, he said. I stepped outside and nearly closed the door behind me. He sighed like he was the exhausted one. I reacted badly. That was his version of an apology, carefully worded to sound remorseful without actually admitting what he had done. Just soft language with the edges sanded off. I wasn't prepared, he said. Everything changed so fast. I let him talk. Silence, I had learned, was not weakness. Sometimes it was refusing to help someone polish their lie. I had plans for us. There it is, I said. He frowned. What? The plan. You keep saying it like Lily survived just to inconvenience you. That is not fair. You told social services I was unstable. His face shifted, just enough to prove he had hoped I didn't know specifics. I was honest. No. You were retaliating. You are isolated. My sister died, Mason. I'm trying to keep her daughter standing. I know. Then stop talking to me like I canceled weekend plans. Then he lowered it and tried again. You don't see your friends. You don't go anywhere. You barely answer me. What should my social calendar look like right now? He looked annoyed because specifics ruin selfish arguments. I talked to my mom, he said. Of course he had. She thinks you're taking on too much. Your mother has no role here. She thinks you're not equipped to raise a child alone. That offended me more than it hurt. I was exhausted, terrified, imperfect, and learning everything too late. But I was present. There is dignity in presence. There is love in showing up when you don't know how. You tried to interfere with custody, I said. I gave an opinion. You attempted to damage a guardianship evaluation. You're exaggerating. No, I'm describing. Then he cried. Not fully, just enough. Controlled tears, careful breathing, emotion designed to persuade. 6 months earlier, I might have folded. Love makes you generous with interpretation. But after sitting beside a child crying for her parents, fake tears become a lot easier to spot. I miss you, he said. For 1 second, I believed him. Missing someone and deserving them are not the same thing. I think you miss the version of me who made your life easier, I said. That landed. You're really throwing away 2 years? You threw them away, I said, the day you saw a grieving child as competition. He set the gift bag on the porch. Fine. Then he walked away. Inside, Lily peeked into the bag. A stuffed unicorn. Expensive, soft, perfectly chosen for appearance. She already had stuffed animals that smelled faintly like her mother's perfume, animals tied to memories and bedtime stories. This unicorn was a prop. Can I keep it? She asked. I hesitated, then said gently, I think we'll donate it. Okay. No drama, no questions, just trust. That trust nearly broke me. Children hand it over so easily. Adults spend years proving whether they deserved it. 4 days later, I ran into Mason and his mother at the grocery store. Lily was sitting in the cart with one sneaker half untied, holding the shopping list upside down and insisting she was helping with operations. We were in the frozen aisle because she had started a passionate campaign for dinosaur waffles when I heard Mason's mother. I turned. There they were, standing together like an absurd little delegation. His mother looked straight at Lily and sighed loudly. Oh, that poor little girl. A few people glanced over. Then she added, with fake sadness thick enough to taste, It's heartbreaking what's happening to her. I stared at her. What's happening to her? As if I were the tragedy. As if stability were abuse. As if choosing responsibility made me dangerous. Lily leaned forward and whispered, That lady is weird. An honestly perfect read. Mason looked embarrassed. His mother looked offended. I pushed the cart past them without giving them the scene they wanted. Still, my hands shook the whole drive home. Public humiliation hits differently when you are protecting a child. Alone, insults feel personal. With a child beside you, they feel strategic. That evening, after Lily went to bed, I called my attorney. He listened quietly while I explained the social services call, the unannounced visit, the grocery store stunt. Then he asked, Do you want me to send a cease and desist? Yes. No hesitation. That surprised me. I used to be the kind of woman who softened every boundary with extra words. Grief burned that out of me. Responsibility finished the job. The letter went out Monday. No direct contact, no showing up at my home, No discussing me or Lily with agencies, institutions, or third parties. No interference. I assumed that would end things. It lasted less than 48 hours. Wednesday morning, Mason's mother left a voicemail. 4 minutes and 11 seconds. I still have it. At some point, you collect evidence not because you want revenge, but because manipulative people keep trying to make reality slippery. Apparently, I was tearing a family apart. Mason had given me the best years of his life. I would regret this when Lily became difficult, and I should think about what Claire would have wanted. That last line almost made me delete the voicemail out of rage. Instead, I saved it and sent it to my attorney. There is a specific exhaustion that comes from defending something sacred against people who cannot understand why it matters. It is colder than anger. It makes even rage feel expensive. A second legal letter went out, this time including his mother. When direct access was blocked, Mason changed tactics. He started telling mutual friends his version. He didn't say he sabotaged a custody reference. He said I changed, that I became emotionally unavailable, that I threw away our relationship because I suddenly wanted to play mother, that he was grieving too. The dangerous thing about a polished lie is that it carries just enough truth to sound reasonable. Yes, I had changed. Yes, I was distant. Yes, Lily had changed everything. But context is the difference between honesty and manipulation. 2 mutual friends stopped responding to me. One eventually texted, "Maybe you could have handled the breakup with more compassion." I stared at that message for a long time. Not every misunderstanding deserves your labor. A real friend called instead. Daniel, college friend. The kind of person who asks direct questions instead of collecting opinions in group chats. "Your ex is making himself sound tragic," he said. "Fantastic. He told people you abandoned him." I laughed, but not pleasantly. Daniel said, "I told him he should be embarrassed." Simple, clean. No both sides performance. Just moral clarity. That mattered more than he knew. Then a coworker sent screenshots. Mason had reached out asking whether I seemed overwhelmed, whether I was coping, whether work had noticed changes. My stomach dropped. I understood exactly what he was doing. He was building a narrative, a soft case, a paper trail made of gossip and fake concern. If social services didn't believe him directly, maybe he could collect enough concerned voices to make me look unstable from a distance. That was the moment I stopped seeing him as selfish and started seeing him as dangerous. My attorney was calm when I told him. "That's harassment adjacent," he said. Legal language has a strange way of describing unhinged behavior like it's a zoning issue. He sent one final notice. Any continued attempts to interfere with guardianship, directly or indirectly, would trigger legal action. Potential harassment filing. Potential tortious interference claim. Expensive words for stop before this becomes permanent. Mason went quiet. His mother called the attorney's office once and argued with the paralegal until she was warned the call would be documented. Then she went quiet too. It wasn't peace yet, just the kind of silence that made me wonder what would happen next. Meanwhile, the custody process kept moving. The home study was scheduled for Thursday. I barely slept the night before. I cleaned a house that was already clean. Reorganized cabinets no one would inspect. Refolded Lily's pajamas. Adjusted her moon nightlight 3 times. Fear makes intelligent people ridiculous. This was not about perfection, it was about terror. What if they thought I wasn't enough? That fear is hard to explain because love and competence are not the same thing. You can love a child desperately and still worry you are ruining her by accident. The caseworker arrived right on time. She looked through Lily's room, the kitchen, medication storage, school paperwork, emergency plans, counseling receipts, and my adjusted work schedule. She asked routine questions that felt like testimony because my future with Lily hung inside every answer. Then she talked with Lily. Lily showed her stuffed rabbit, her books, her moon nightlight, and explained very seriously that Aunt Amelia was bad at pancakes but trying. Which was fair. After the caseworker left, I sat in my truck and cried so hard my chest hurt. She had not made any official promise, but before leaving, she said, "Lily clearly feels safe with you." That sentence nearly undid me. For weeks, I had measured myself by every imperfect dinner, rushed morning, and moment of uncertainty. But children do not measure love like adults do. They notice who shows up, who stays, who keeps trying after failing. Lily was doing better, not okay. Better. That distinction matters. She still woke from nightmares, still asked about Claire, still froze sometimes when she saw mothers with daughters. But there were good moments now, too. One night, I dropped an entire taco into my lap and said, "Well, apparently my shorts are having dinner." Lily laughed so hard she snorted. A real laugh. A helpless little kid laugh. I hadn't heard that sound in weeks, and it felt holier than anything anyone had said at the funeral. Later that week, my foreman stopped me before I left work. Big guy, gruff voice, emotionally allergic to long conversations. "I adjusted your schedule permanently," he said. "What?" "So you can always make school pickup." I just stared at him. He shrugged. Family's family. Then he walked away like he hadn't just handed me breathing room. That is the strange thing about crisis. It reveals monsters, but it also reveals people who save you quietly. The final hearing date was set. I should have felt relief. Instead, I felt exhausted. Surviving conflict is strangely anticlimactic. You think resolution will feel triumphant, but often it just feels like your body finally has permission to collapse. A few nights before the hearing, while brushing her teeth, Lily asked, "Are you ever getting a boyfriend again?" I laughed. Very direct. She spit toothpaste dramatically. "Well, maybe someday." She considered that seriously. "Okay, but he has to like tacos." I looked at her in the mirror, and for the first time in weeks, something warm and uncomplicated moved through me. Completely reasonable requirement. We shook on it. Somehow, that tiny moment felt more honest than most of my relationship with Mason. Healthy love, I was learning, is not easy, but it is simple. It does not make children feel unwanted. It does not punish compassion. It does not turn grief into a competition. The custody hearing came on a rainy Thursday. Lily stayed with my neighbor, an older woman who had known Claire for years and had started leaving banana bread on my porch every Sunday with notes that said, "For the chef and sous chef." Lily insisted she was the chef. I never corrected her. Courtrooms are strangely ordinary, considering how much life gets decided inside them. Neutral walls, neutral chairs, neutral voices, as if devastation should remain politely organized. The judge reviewed everything: the caseworker report, Lily's school counselor statements, my attorney's submissions, reference letters, and documentation showing Mason's retaliation. Then it was done. Formal custody granted. I remember nodding, shaking hands, thanking people, walking out to my car, closing the door, and completely falling apart. Not sad tears, relief tears. The kind that come when your body has been braced for impact so long it no longer knows how to stand down. When I got home, Lily met me at the door in socks that absolutely did not match. "Well?" I crouched down and smiled. "We're official." She blinked. "Aren't we already?" That hit harder than anything the judge said. Because to her, the emotional truth had always been clear. Adults just needed paperwork to catch up. That night we celebrated with tacos. Naturally, Lily insisted extra cheese was appropriate for major legal milestones. Honestly fair. Later, after she went to bed, I stood in Claire's old kitchen, listening to the dishwasher hum and rain tap against the windows. On the refrigerator was Lily's newest drawing. Claire and Adam were in the sky with enormous angel wings. Lily stood below, holding my hand. She had drawn me absurdly tall and given me purple hair, which felt personally offensive. But she drew us smiling. That was what undid me. I had spent months wondering if I was enough. Enough structure, enough patience, enough maternal instinct, enough emotional stability, enough anything. But maybe children do not ask for perfect. Maybe they ask for present. Show up, stay, keep showing up. Some days, that is the entire job. A few nights later, while I helped Lily with a book report about a mystery-solving dog she insisted was the greatest book ever written, she asked, "Do you miss Mommy?" I stopped writing. Every day. Me too. Later, Lily asked if I missed being normal. I told her the truth. Sometimes. She nodded like she already knew. Neither of us needed to explain more than that. This was not a heroic ending. No one was magically healed. No music swelled. No perfect closure arrived. Just two people surviving the same loss differently, learning each other, building something neither of us asked for. Maybe family is not always the people who fit your plans. Maybe sometimes family is who you choose when plans are gone. I still miss Claire so badly some nights it feels physical, like grief moved into my ribs and never left. I still get scared. I still wonder if I am messing Lily up. I still Google things adults probably should know. I still burn dinner sometimes. I still panic over school forms. But Lily laughs now. She sleeps better, argues passionately about breakfast classifications, and somehow believes cheese should be protected by law. Most importantly, when she gets scared, she comes looking for me. That means something. Mason taught me what love is not. Love is not resentment disguised as concern. It is not competition with a grieving child. It is not emotional sabotage dressed up as honesty. It is not making compassion feel like weakness. And if I ever love again, Lily already set the rule. He has to like tacos. Honestly, that might be the best screening process I've ever heard. So that's the whole story. It wasn't a perfect story, and it certainly wasn't a pretty one, but it was ours, and it was real. And if there is one thing I know now, it's this. The people who truly belong in your life do not make tragedy harder just because it inconveniences them.